opportunity to start the year and all that. And to be honest, I think those coaches either didn't have an off-season program or they're lying. I don't know. You see in the spring who's coming to lift and work out. In the summer, we get to actually work with the players basketball-wise. So you have a whole season in the summer. You see who's coming. You don't base it just on who's coming to practice, but what they look like in practices. We have a summer league. We played something like 12 or 13 games this summer. So I got to be pretty well acquainted with the guys this summer and what they could do. And I mean, there's a couple that are just flat out obvious, and that's every team. You know, there's no question that you're going to have Kenny and Darius as your interior guys. I mean, we don't have a mess of guys that size walking around the school that also have to be good athletes and good basketball players. It's not, you know, there's some that weren't set in stone, but I would say those two and Teddy, it was very clear that they were going to be three of the starters. And the other two sort of worked themselves out through the preseason so far. So, and right now, those other two would be James Brennan and Dionis Gonzalez. But Peyton's right on the fringe of playing a lot. He played very well in the last scrimmage. Like I said, some of those sophomore guys, McLaughlin and Dalzell could be there. So there's going to be guys pushing for minutes for sure, but probably those five to start. Phil, you had a question on it?
Could you start five better based on matchup?
It probably won't, and the reason is Teddy and James. Teddy's about 6'1", James is like 6'2" or so, and not that either of them are like huge guys, but on a basketball court as opposed to on a football field, they've got decent like size to them, so they can play the 2, the 3, or the 4. And even against smaller teams that aren't Atlantic City, teams that aren't Holy Spirit, James could probably play at 5. So it really shouldn't be dictated by those matchups because we're versatile that way. If our like stone cold lockdown defender was Dionis at 5'10" or whatever he is, then it would be different. But our best two defenders are the guys that could guard anyone 2 or 5. So it really shouldn't. And the guys coming in for them, even on top of that, except for Peyton, are all under 6 feet. So it would actually, we'd be kind of hurt that way. As far as like if we had a bigger matchup, we couldn't go to one of those other guards. You know what I mean? Yeah.
What are your team's strengths and weaknesses?
Our strength certainly is our interior play, our post guys. You know, Darius had a strong season from everything I could gather. Again, I didn't see a lot of games, but as a sophomore, and he's gotten a little bit bigger and thicker and stronger, and he's played pretty high level AAU basketball. He played all summer, so I expect at a very minimum the same, if not better than that from last year. And Kenny, this time last year, he didn't even have a football season under his belt with the accident and all that other stuff.
So it's been like more than 20 minutes.
I don't think his mind was right. His body wasn't. He wasn't in any kind of shape. And I know they're two totally different sports, and the fitness, you know, you're just in different shape for basketball and football. But he's in better shape than he was this time last year. He's been one of our best workers and leaders in the preseason, which that surprised me more than anything in the preseason. Because I've had Kenny in class before as a freshman, and I thought, you know, he was always looking for an angle or a way to cut corners or whatever the case was, and he really, shockingly, hasn't been that way on the basketball court so far this year. So definitely the strength is inside. We have, like I said, another strength is our ability to defend a variety of players with Teddy and James being the size that they are for basketball players. So those are a couple of our strengths. Weaknesses, so far in the preseason, it has to be handling the ball tough. Teams have turned us over. It's bad for a team. Our benchmark is 10 turnovers or less in a game. Probably 12 or under in a game is fine, but we've averaged over 18 in a game. And we're in the 30s in our last scrimmage when you took the first we played more than 4 quarters, but in the first 4 quarters we had something like 31 turnovers. And we will go over the season if we make 30 turnovers. So we're working on getting that right, correcting that, but just being strong with the basketball. And that's not just the guard, that's everybody, that's across the board. Even those post guys that I said are strengths. So, Taylor?
If you knew Petty was resigning, would you still jump the boys?
If I knew you would stay on for the entire season, absolutely,
Yeah.
girls. But I don't know. They're both great. They're 2 great experiences. One in the 8 years of coaching, one of the absolute highlights was going down on the trip to Florida, and that was when I was with the girls team. We had a ton of fun. There wasn't much that I've done that was more fun than that as far as being a coach. But again, that was all on the social side of things. Couldn't even tell you what happened in the games or anything like that. It was just going to the parks with them and being, part of that too. So I had a great experience both ways. I don't know, it's too much to say. I know that's a BS answer, but I can't give you a better answer than that on that question. Bill?
Who's your go-to player that you rely on down the stretch?
I would like to say that that's going to be Darius. He's just, with his size and his athleticism, he's hard to stop when he makes his mind up that he's going to attack. The problem is, he's not a guard. So teams that have guards, they can say at the end of every quarter, when it's close, there's you're down 1, there's 30 seconds left. It's easy to get it to that guy and then have him just clear out for him and let him go make a play. But Darius isn't a guard, so he's not going to have the ball in his hands initially. So I also think that before the season's over, that player may be Teddy. And if he doesn't want it to be right now, he's going to have to accept that role because he's athletic. He can get to the rim. He can go by someone. He can shoot fairly well. And he's, like I said, he's 6'1" or so and very stringy. He's got good hops. He's going to have to be that other guy. So a mix of those 2 guys, really.
We'll take 2 more questions and we'll be done.
Do you think you will have any all-Cal players this year?
I could be wrong with this. I believe that you would know better than I would. That Darius was 2nd team last year.
Yeah.
I would hope that he will make 1st team this year, at least within our conference. There's some tough players. I mean, he would have to do it as a forward. Atlantic City's got a kid that's 6'8" or 6'9" that was, if not the biggest piece, was the 2nd biggest piece on a team that won the Group 4 state championship. So just on name recognition alone, he's going to be the front runner to be one of those forwards. And Holy Spirit has this kid, Junior Santiago, or I don't know if I pronounced that right, who may also have been 1st team last year. And sometimes it's hard because the guys that vote don't, they already know this guy and they assume that you're at this level. So Darius has got some things to overcome to be a 1st teamer, but he should be considered right in the mix of things if he has a season that we believe he can have. Yes.
Whether you're coaching or
I was never particularly all that superstitious. I played with guys that they had to wear the same socks the same way, the same, Under Armour or T-shirt underneath or whatever it was. I don't know. I don't really have too many of those things. You probably know from the girl side of things. If it's possible to get out before the game and run the Wawa, I'd love to get a package of gummy bears before. But no, I don't have any real superstitions on that. So.
Great, thank you very much, appreciate it.
I have a